Hey everyone, Sarah Squires here from The Nurturing Coach, and today I wanted to talk about how to diffuse the narcissist. So we've all been there. You receive an angry email, or either in response to something that you've sent, or just out of the blue for no apparent reason other than they want to attack you for some reason. And it can be really hard to know how to deal with those situations, because especially if you're in the family court process, because if you ignore them, then obviously they will paint it as you being uncooperative, you not co-parenting with them. And so it's about thinking about how to respond to them and how to diffuse it. So this is kind of a two-stage approach with a pre-stage. So the pre-stage is when you're sending something, whether it be in response to something they've sent or you need to ask them for something, check in with yourself. Where are you at? Where are you completely 100% emotionally regulated? Do you feel completely calm, or do you feel anxious, angry, afraid? If you feel anything other than completely calm, take a few deep breaths, go for a walk, ground yourself, do something that brings you back into a state of calm and relaxation. Because even though you might try and use the right words, it's really hard to create a text or an email that doesn't contain the energy of the emotion. And so the choice of your words, the way that it's punctuated, all of that will communicate that emotion. And aside from the fact that when we come into how you diffuse it, that's not going to be helpful, it's also not part of the process of you detaching from them and not reacting to them. And so reacting isn't just about them being in your face and you reacting. It's about just reacting to the thought of them, reacting to the thought of communicating, reacting to a memory of them. So take a few deep breaths, do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can smell, 3 things you can taste, 2 things you can touch, 1 thing you can hear, or whichever way, pick your senses as ever you want. But essentially, it's not so much about getting the right amount, it's about taking your brain into a different place. Also, really simple exercise, just swallowing a few times like that tells your stomach that you're getting ready to eat. It's like you're salivating, ready to eat. And when you're ready to eat, your survival part of your brain thinks, oh, well, we must be safe, because we wouldn't eat if we weren't safe. So it's just tricking your brain into thinking that you're a lot calmer, and lowering and just regulating your own emotions, bringing your nervous system back into a sense of alignment. So this 2-stage approach is stage 1. If from their message, recognize the emotion in it, whether that be anger, sadness, frustration, whatever it is, recognize that. And then again, come back. How does that make me feel? What is that doing to me? Am I having a reaction to that? If you are, do your calming exercises, which you probably will be. But what I'm saying is, don't respond at that point. Because what tends to happen is, and I've done it myself, so this is not judgment, I've spent days and days back and forthing because I haven't regulated myself, is that they come at you with an emotion, you feel an emotional response to that, which may mirror what they're feeling, or it may be the counter, the opposite of what they're feeling. Usually we mirror, so if they come at us with anger, we then feel anger back. And then that's just because of the nature of the relationship that we had with them. This can be used for anyone, by the way, but primarily we're just using it on narcissistic exes here, or relatives. So recognize what you're feeling. If you're feeling anger or any sort of, because anger is like an iceberg, there's a lot of feelings under that. So they might be coming at you with anger, which is actually, there's shame in there, there's frustration, there's guilt. There could be any range of emotions. I do recommend you having a look at the anger iceberg and seeing all the different emotions that sit under that. But ultimately, you sense the anger, whether consciously or just energetically and emotionally, you sense that. It triggers your anger response, which again will have all of those icebergs. So even though they might be presenting with shame and it's coming out as anger, you might respond with frustration. And so already there's a complete miscommunication there. But what's important is you recognize within yourself, okay, so this is what I sense the anger in their communication. I feel anger within myself. What is that? Is that shame? Is that guilt? Is that frustration? Whatever it might be, work on that. Go away. Leave the communication and just go and focus on that and heal that as much as you can. I'm not saying you heal all of it, but just get yourself into a calm place by focusing on you and your emotions. Because if you can't regulate your emotions, what you do is you're basically just throwing more fuel onto their fire, which creates more destruction for you both. And this is about diffusing. And we don't diffuse by chucking oil on a fire. In fact, it's quite hard to, we could throw water on it. And water are our emotions. But you need to regulate yourself. So you need to completely calm yourself, get yourself into your regulated nervous system. When you feel that you can do that, go back, check, am I feeling angry again? If so, go off, do your stuff, come back. When you can finally read it, then go through it, and see if there is actually anything that you need to respond to within that. Now, there may or may not be. Sometimes they just go on an angry rant and it makes lots of accusations. At that point, I would ignore. Ignore with the knowing that if you ignore when you're angry and you're doing it just to be like, oh, fuck you, I'm not responding to that, then you are responding. You're responding with anger. You may not physically send anything, but you are responding. When you regulate yourself and you are calm, you're able to respond with calmness. Like I say, even if you're not physically going to post them anything, send them anything, communicate with them verbally, you are communicating through your emotions. I'm calm. You're dysregulated. It's not my job anymore to regulate you. It never was my job to regulate you, but I'm certainly not getting back into that game with no anger. I'm going to leave that for you to regulate yourself. When you are, I will communicate. Again, I would not put that in words because that will be fuel on their fire, because they're not ready to hear. And this is what's really important with the diffusing process, is they're not ready to hear anyway. So it wouldn't matter what you went back with, even if you're perfectly calm and went back with something reasonable. They're not ready because they're dysregulated. So the only way to diffuse them at that point is regulate yourself. Diffuse your own emotions and don't respond. If they are then able to come back to you from a much calmer place, then obviously you can do that. Or you could give it 24 hours and then respond with some, again, from your calm space. You could then go back with your reasonable response, remembering brief, informative, friendly, but firm. And then again, that's it. That's the only part of the communication you have any control over is you as the transmitter of your message. You're not responsible for the reception or the receiving of that message. That's down to them. But that's the only way that you can diffuse them, is through essentially diffusing your own emotions first. And that is why it's so important that you get to know yourself and your emotional responses. And this is important for your children. If you're in family court, the regulation and co-regulation and self-regulation is so important, because this is what narcissists are completely unable to do. They have spent their entire lives trying to find someone who will help them to regulate their emotions, because their own parents weren't able to do that for them. And they do that in the wrong way, manipulative ways, in aggressive ways, in controlling ways. But ultimately, that's what it's about. It's about, I'm feeling a lot of big emotions and I don't know what to do with them. So here, have them, and you take care of them. Obviously, then they get angry at you for taking care of them, because you'll feel it or you'll express it. They don't want to hear that. But that's what they've been trying to do. And you probably did that, or you will have done that throughout the relationship, because that's what you were conditioned to do. And that's how you were useful, as long as you were doing that. Now you're not there, they will be expecting the children to do that for them. So when they feel big emotions, they'll be putting them onto the child. And so the child isn't experiencing a safe emotional regulation process, because what has to happen for children to develop a secure attachment is the parent has to be able to regulate their own emotions first. So when the child's upset, have to regulate themselves. You have to be aware, am I being triggered by something? Am I being triggered by their reaction? Do I not like it when they're angry? Do I not like it when they're sad? Do I not like it when they're badgering me? Whatever it is, regulate yourself first. And then you can offer them co-regulation to deal with their emotions. But you can't do that until you've regulated yourself. And then once you've provided a safe space for you both to co-regulate, for you to hold that space with them, to be with them and to bring them into a calmer place, then they will develop the skills to self-regulate in future and do what you did at the start. But that takes time, and it takes a relationship that they can trust that that's going to keep happening. And so what you're teaching the narcissist in this is, I can't, and I'm not going to regulate you, because my job is my self-regulation bit. You need to self-regulate yourself. Like I said, this is not what you would communicate to them, because they would not have the capacity to, and when I say they wouldn't have the capacity to understand, I don't mean intelligently, because some of them are psychologists or very intelligent people, but they just can't do it. They have the knowledge, but they actually can't do it. So the important part of the diffusion process is, for you and your children, is you learning to get to know yourself, your own emotions, your emotional responses, and how to regulate. And you might not have been taught how to do that as a child either. So that's a skill that you need to develop, is recognizing, I'm feeling this, I need to regulate that. And we all get it wrong. You are going to get it wrong. We all have outbursts. We all have moments where we just haven't regulated properly, or we regulate in a unhealthy way by raising our voices or hitting like on the table. That's a part of regulation, but it's an unhealthy part. It's finding a way that is healthy for you. Personally, for me, it's journaling, but it might be drawing, it might be singing, it might be dancing, it might be going for a run, it might be going for a walk. But it is about you understanding what your process is for regulating when you recognize that you are dysregulated. And your body will give you clues that you're dysregulated. It might be that you get rosy cheeks. It might be that you clench your jaw. And it could be really subtle. It's part of getting to know yourself and your own emotional responses. But remember that these have all been dumbed down, particularly in that relationship with the narcissist, but maybe even from childhood. You didn't have the environment yourself where you had that co-regulation experience. So learn it. we do a circle of security program, which is all about this. Check that out on the website. That's run through Una Archer, who is oh god, what, can't remember what she calls herself now. I'm sorry. But just check out on the Nurturing Coach website the details of Circle of Security, because that is a parent course designed around attachment and being able to regulate your emotions and therefore meet your child's needs. Brilliant for dealing with a child who is being parented by a narcissist as well. So to recap, first step. What are you feeling going in? Are you anxious, scared? Are you dysregulated? If you are, go and calm yourself. Go and regulate yourself. Come back to the communication when you're calm, and then literally just answer the thing that needs to be answered with a brief, informative, firm but fair and friendly response. And that's it. They might still get angry, but you've diffused it because you're not providing them with any more fuel. Like I said, how they receive it and how they react, that's up to them. But you diffuse it your end. You actually have no control over them. But by not adding fuel, fires burn out. The rules of fire lasting is they've got to have fuel. So if you take your fuel out, eventually it will burn out. And that's one of the biggest problems I see in communication between our clients and their narcissistic ex or mother or father or sibling, is they're adding their own fuel because they're not regulating themselves before they go into the communication process. Please do drop a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. If you've got any questions, ask them below. I will either do another video or I'll pop a response on for you. And don't forget to like, subscribe and share with anyone that you think would really benefit from this video. Don't forget to check out all the resources available at the nurturingcoach.co.uk. We have a great team of counsellors that can help you through your experience. We've all got lived experience, so they totally get where you've been. So no judgment, no need to explain. We understand. There's also books, free blogs, lots of freebies, lots of, I think there's some courses on there as well. So check it all out. It is a designated resource centre for victims of narcissistic abuse, parental alienation. And yeah, take care, everyone.